Sports romances give me that little feeling of je ne sais quoi where I devour a book. I get so invested because not only is there usually this perfect couple that I'm so invested in, but it's so much more high stakes because there is a professional sport and media and drama and the angst and the tension of how they're going to perform all wrapped up into the romance. So if you couldn't tell, I absolutely love sports romances, and I have read quite a few in my day. So here I am today to tell you which ones are worth your time, which ones you should read, and why I loved them. So hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to today's video. We are diving right into sports romances. I even dressed for the part. Last night I got to go to a playoff game. I bought tickets to go to a playoff game and it was amazing. We did lose. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. Let's just talk about positive vibes, which are sports romance books. I have just, that's already a preview. I'm so excited to give you some sports romance recs because truly this is one of my favorite subgenres of romance and just favorite area of books ever. And 'tis the season because Off Campus is out today, and that is the series we are starting with. The Off Campus series, what a special place it has in my heart. Funny enough, I was book shopping with my best friend Jazz over the weekend, and she was going to a birthday, and she bought that girl The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which is book 1 in the Off Campus series, because I think the whole world is so excited for this show to come out. We've all been loving Heated Rivalry. I'm a hockey fan, by the way, if you couldn't tell. So Off Campus is a hockey sports romance. In The Deal, we have hockey captain Garrett Graham, and we have our main character, the name shall come to me. Hannah is a little bit uptight, but she has a past that we're gonna find out throughout the book, and she just has her guard up. She is very, very smart, very knowledgeable, and she agrees to tutor Garrett in exchange for him helping her get the attention of the guy she likes. And I will say already there's a discrepancy between the book and the show, which is in the book, the guy whose attention she wants and who she likes is a football player at their school. I think it's called Briar U is their school. But in the show, they made him a musician. And Hannah is also a musician. She writes songs and sings in the book and in the show. So I wonder if in the show they made that decision to make it more obvious that this other guy is really her type, and it'll take a lot for her to fall for Garrett, because in the books what I loved is the inner monologue is so strong. So if you love really getting in the weeds of the POV of the characters, you're gonna love Elle Kennedy's writing, and especially The Deal. I felt so connected to both characters. I will say definitely read trigger warnings. There is a very, very heavy traumatic past for both of them. Garrett, it's more related to his family and especially his dad, and then Hannah, something very unfortunate happens to her while she's out in the world, and I'll leave it at that. It's so good. The banter between them it's definitely enemies to lovers and I could never like you type of attitude between both sides, and the hockey weaved in is so good. I loved it. I love the found family of the team. Garrett's hockey team and all the teammates are genuinely such good friends. Yeah, there's some tensions and captain and bringing the team together, but it's awesome because it continues into the whole series, which leads us in, I'm gonna not give you too much away from all these books because I want you to read them. So that's The Deal. Then we have The Mistake, which is the second book, and does that follow Dean and Allie? No, it doesn't. Then we have The Mistake, which follows Logan, another one of the hockey boys. I won't tell you the girl it follows because you might want to read it. Also, I will say there are 4 books in this main series, and all 4 plots were really different, which I loved. It didn't feel like a rinse and repeat or a cheap way to just capitalize on the success of The Deal. Every story was unique and had different tropes. So we have The Deal, The Mistake, which is Logan's book. That was a more emotional book, still though fun hockey romance, but I think a lot, if I can remember correctly, it deals a lot more with failure and how to feel fulfilled and proud of yourself. The third one was The Score, which is Dean and Allie, and that was one of my favorite books. It was a long slow burn because we meet both Dean and Allie in book 1. So seeing how the playboy Dean who can't be tamed ends up in this book in this predicament is really fun. I actually love that on the trailer of Off Campus, I haven't started watching, I'm gonna binge it all tonight, people already noticed crumbs of Dean and Allie because they're of course both characters in the TV show already, which is based on book 1 because we get introduced to them, but we know that book 3 is about them. So people are already noticing the crumbs of like their friends to lovers situation. And then the last one in the series really threw me for a loop, which is The Goal. And I just got this, it's the goalie. It's about the goalie, the goal. What a crazy trope. I can tell you because it's not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book, but it's accidental pregnancy. And I had a hard time going into that one because that's not a trope I normally like. I also read this a few years ago, so I was even younger and even less inclined to read about that because it just felt like so out of my reach and so unrelatable, but I still ended up absolutely loving it. And I think there was a book after, like a 5th one, where she did a reunion book and it was just a bunch of like short chapters where it covered everyone and where they are now. And I do remember really liking that, and it felt a lot more adult and mature. But that's the first series that I highly recommend, Off Campus. It's perfect time for you to read it so then you can watch the show. You only have to read book 1, watch the show, and then you can read the rest of them and you have some time. But they already got renewed for season 2, which is insane because that happened before it came out. But I think they saw like everyone's hype online and I'm so excited to watch it. The next book I want to recommend, which I think is the most recent or one of the most recent sports romances I've read, is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This was a crazy book. It is toxic skating world, toxic figure skating. They are terrible and perfect for each other. I actually kind of hated the ending. Like the 3rd act conflict is so atrocious, but I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Think of kind of Gossip Girl in terms of the emotions you get evoked when reading this. It sort of reminded me of Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, if you've read that. It's a British Gossip Girl essentially. It's just the audacity of the characters leaves you speechless, and the fact that they're going to the Olympics at some point, like the stakes are so high, and it's these 2 kids who come from nothing and nowhere and try and make it big in the figure skating world and get like thrown into this new luxurious lavish life where they have to work until their breaking point to make it, but it's all they've ever wanted. And at the base of it, I guess it's that whole battle between, do I love this sport more or do I love you more? It's crazy. I highly recommend if you want emotion sparked in you and like a little bit of anger, but a good anger coming from a book. And you're probably gonna binge this because I did. Everything so far has been on ice, and my next 2 are also hockey romances, but they're incredible. Of course, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I mean, this is just a classic. I think the timing of when it came out was perfect because people who had read The Deal by Elle Kennedy, including myself, were craving for something like that, and we didn't have it. And so then Icebreaker came out, and it does its own thing. It's certainly similar to The Deal because it's a university hockey sports romance, but it is, I want to say, actually no, I was gonna say it's more emotionally in tune, but that's not even the case. What I did like about the Icebreaker book though is she's a figure skater and he's a hockey player, so that was pretty nice because it combined elements of everything I like in a sports romance and both of them understanding each other. It's not like she doesn't understand his world. She's also a pro athlete and competing and has all this pressure on her. So it was really sweet actually to see the moments where they're essentially connecting over that. Okay, this next book, I remember so vividly starting it on a flight and finishing it before I landed. And that is From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. I will start by saying Mariana Zapata just writes sports romances so well, but they are the definition of slow burn. I think some of them are like 500 to 600 pages and they hold hands at page 450. So be prepared for the pining, the yearning, and you to get all the backstory imaginable before anything happens, but I think that buildup just makes them so good, and I don't read them that often, so it's kind of nice, like every now and then I'm really working for it, you know? But From Lukov with Love is a figure skating book, surprise, surprise. Again, both of them are pro athletes, and also it's very, very different from the favorites, by the way, so I highly encourage you to read both. I don't know which one I liked more, probably From Lukov with Love. So essentially, what was her name? Jasmine was a very good professional, famous figure skater. Something happens, she's no longer skating, and then Ivan Lukov, who is top of the world, expected to win everything, is looking for a new partner, and he asks her. That's the premise. That's how it starts. I'm gonna leave it there. The banter, the enemies to lovers executed in this book in such a believable way was top tier. I loved them both so much. They frustrated me so much. It was the perfect angsty, I'm giggling and like shocked at the page, at the banter coming out of them, and the sweet moments where you can tell that they like each other are not far and few between, but they're so subtly placed in the book where it's not in your face like, oh, just get together already, we know you like each other. It genuinely felt like such a well-paced journey, and I adored this book. I adored it so much. There are quite a few tropes I loved in there. I remember when she was sick and he was taking care of her, it like made my heart flutter. It's a pretty famous part of the book. I think this book was really popular a few years ago, so I'm bringing it back. Another one that I read so many years ago and I haven't really seen talked about is Throttled by Lauren Asher. Crazy name, but that is an F1 sports romance, and I was never really that into F1. Like I follow it sometimes, but I don't know, it wasn't my passion, but I started reading this book and it kind of made me more into F1, I'm not gonna lie. It was so good. It's a series, and I do think I read 2 or 3 of them, but this is the one that stood out because it was his teammate's younger sister, so that's kind of the plot and the premise, and what I liked about it is she understood the world somewhat because her brother is a driver. Because of that, it took away the wow factor of, okay, you're a driver, so what? So is my brother. And I loved that. I thought the banter was so much stronger because of that, and she wasn't fangirling over him, which he was used to his whole life. So I really liked it. I read it so many years ago, I can't remember much more, but the fact that I still think about it fondly should speak enough volumes, and I recommend it. And if you want to not read a hockey or skating book, because I think every single one I've said so far is that, there you go. There's a recommendation. It's very spicy. It's very tension scenes, so do with that what you will. The next one I want to recommend actually is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Calling this a sports romance is a bit of a stretch. So this is for the people who want like a sports-centric fiction book, but not necessarily romance at the center of it. And that is essentially Carrie Soto is Back. This is in the world of tennis, and she was basically the #1 tennis player. Incredible, Carrie Soto. Then she gets injured and stops playing, but something happens, and her dad was her coach. There's a lot of like fine line between father and coach figure, and we get a lot of her backstory. I loved it. It's written so well. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a phenomenal author. And what I will say is, if you are looking for a book with a lot more depth and variety on the topics it's covering, so not just romance and sports, this is the one I would highly suggest that you read. I loved it. There is a bit of a romance in it, but we're more so analyzing Carrie herself and that journey it took for her to go back to the sport, and like following the intensity, the media, how they portray her, how she grapples with it, like what the facade is and who she really is beneath that. It's a fantastic book. The last honorable mention I have, which loosely fits, is the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, and specifically Flawless, which is the first book in that series. I love a cowboy romance, and this one is technically a sports romance because he's a professional bull rider. So there you have it. If you want your worlds to collide, that was kind of my perfect book because I love sports romances and I love cowboy romances, and I got the intensity of both put together. I'm also gonna take a sec here to mention 2 series I did not enjoy, so I'm giving you a warning because they're everywhere. Number 1, the Windy City series by Liz Tom Ford. I tried. I think I read 2 or 3 of them and I thought they were so poorly written. I'm sorry, I was kind of cringing and rolling my eyes, and I did not understand how when I went on Goodreads, how they had such high ratings and how so many people I like on YouTube and whose tastes I align with said that it was incredible books. I completely disagree. It was not for me. Genuinely, all of the characters felt so unrealistic and fake. Like, they weren't real people with real depth. They had the stupidest problems. I'm sorry. It was just so bizarre. I didn't like it. I really didn't like Windy City, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and that is mine. The second is Consider Me by Becca Mack. I think it's the Playing for Keeps series. I tried. I read 2 books in that series. It, again, is just so unrealistic. I have never encountered women in my life who talk about the deed that much. Like, women have more to them beyond that. It's wild. It kind of felt like it was written by a man, but also I don't think a man would write that many conversations about it. It was bizarre. I liked the characters kind of when they were together in their relationship. And the hockey part was cool because they're not in university anymore. They're like in the actual NHL. Well, this fictional NHL, and they play for the Vancouver team, but I didn't love either of those, and they're kind of popular, so I wanted to mention them on why I didn't include them in my recommendations. I'm gonna leave you there. I just gave you so many books that you could pick up and start reading if you love a good sports romance. Also, if you have other sports romances you absolutely loved and I didn't mention, please let me know. I'm always looking for more recommendations. I'm so excited actually to watch Off Campus tonight. So with that, I will leave you here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. I'm gonna keep posting as much as I can to talk about books. And that's all. Bye.